Hello, and welcome once more to Soul Light Solutions, where we talk about the light of our soul and solutions to help improve a soulful living with having a greater connection to spirit, learning to trust the whispers of your intuition, and understanding the art of living that's more aligned with your soul, with your own true nature. That's what I'm all about. So, my name is Lorraine Appleyard, and thank you very much for joining me today. And today we're going to talk about something that really many of us learn to understand. Um, and it is the topic of many spiritual communities. And it is often bandied around in ways that can be of throwing shade, but we're talking about learning how to understand your own authentic self and how to hear it. And the truth is that the hustle and bustle of our modern everyday life, it is easy to lose that voice of yourself, that innermost voice of your soul that guides you. It's so easy to get swept up with the noise, all of the external expectations that get thrown at us in our world, um, all of these societal norms, and all of the programming that we've had presently, which has been really through the course of time, because through the course of time, human beings have been evolving. And what we've been doing is we've been evolving spiritually. And so there's been a lot of shite along the way, right? There has been. So let's talk about getting back to yourself. Let's talk about getting back to your own true nature and how to really understand the voice of your soul and what that sounds like. Before we go on any further, it's important to really define and understand what do we mean by this authentic self we hear often. Um, or maybe we don't hear it at all. Maybe this is the first time you've been hearing it. If you're new to my channel or if you're new on the spiritual journey, I'm looking at my mic here, it looks a little ghostly. So you can think of it as spirit holding it out. Well, the authentic self is the part of you that exists at its purest state, at its purest form. It exists beyond all conditioning and it exists beyond fear. And here on the earth plane, there's so much fear. There's so much conditioning. And the reason why is because it's a really very dense environment energetically. And it is the authentic self is beyond the ego. And if you're not really fully sure about what the ego is, I will be talking more about it. But the ego really represents your lower self, the part of you that is conditioned, is formed, um, and has these set of expectations. It's more of your um, human-esque self. It's more of a humanness, which is not divine. Your spiritual self, your true essence is divine, and your true essence is of spirit, and we are part of the great spirit. But we can lose sight of this as we're grappling down around here on this very heavy dimension. So when we come to understand what our true essence is, and you come to understand and know yourself on a deeper level, what you truly desire, what you truly need, and what truly aligns with your spirit, that will help bring joy and fulfillment into your life. And it's only by learning to listen to your true self, your true nature, will you achieve peace and joy. And I say achieve, not receive. I want you to understand the difference between that, because we're not receiving joy, we're not receiving peace. We are achieving it with our state of being by being aligned with our soul. So if you reflect upon that, it will give you a better understanding of, of what the essence of that means. But here's the thing, is that our soul, it speaks to us in a really very quiet voice. Our soul nudges us. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it's not up there waving a flag. Um, Although it will speak very loudly sometimes as you become more and more out of alignment. But the soul, it whispers, it gives little nudges. And I have found that your soul, our souls, they wait patiently for us to listen. It's only a matter of learning how to be able to tune in. Our soul understands that we are on this human and healing journey. And I say healing journey because we're getting back to our true nature. We're getting back to our divine self, to our spiritual essence, and we are growing in our consciousness. But again, that is a process. So, why do we struggle so much to hear our soul? Why do we struggle so much to hear our truest nature, to be able to receive that guidance? And well, as I talked about, the hustle and bustle of our modern busy world, um, we don't have a lot of solitude around us in our modern world. Back before we were industrialized, we'd be out in the field, we'd be spending more time in nature, more in attunement with the cycles, and we didn't have as much external noise. So we were able to hear that inner voice more. We're able to receive it, and we would hear voice of the Great Spirit also, simply because we were in more of a receptive state to receive these impressions, because we were more in alignment with the natural world, with the cycles, living closer to Earth, and not having distractions every other minute, whether it be a phone or TV or what have you. So the ancient world was very, very different. And we have a lot of mind chatter. The busier we are in our lives and with the more distractions that we have, the more mind chatter that we have. And that's just the way that it is. If you've got a very, very busy external environment, and you're hustling and bustling all the time, your mind chatter is going to be millions of miles a minute, because it's busy replaying everything. It's constantly on the go. It's in the past, it's in the future, it's worrying. It is everywhere but being in the present. And so it's that mind chatter that that stops us, prevents us from hearing our soul. So we have the external noise, we have the mind chatter, and we have also the fear of truth. Sometimes we're afraid to go deeper to see our true self. Sometimes our authentic self, it requires us to make changes, and change can be scary. It requires us to peel back some of these layers of the ego, of the inauthentic self, and we may not be ready to lose what we perceive our identity to be. If I held on to the identity that I was some big rock star, superstar, badass, always ready to be on the go, always whatever it may be, right? It's a persona. It's not your real self. Your real self, whereas it may have a lot of creative expressions, for instance, um, it's going deeper. And sometimes the fear of that truth prevents people from reaching their authentic self. A lot of times what happens is people go through the dark night of the soul, and that is one of the disintegrations of the ego. It's a very intense disintegration of the ego, which is really very painful, very lonely, um, and difficult to go through. Um, I would say most people go through it in their life. Most people will have a dark night of the soul, and it is very, very intense. Perhaps not everyone does, although everyone should. I'll say because it is a reckoning, I will say. So we have the external noise that holds us back from hearing our authentic self, mind chatter, and fear of the truth. The fear of changing ourselves, fear of understanding that we are more, much greater than any persona that we can have. But we have the ego that wants to keep everything in place. And that ego is very protective and it's very fearful also. And so, as you are seeking to understand how to hear your authentic self, your true soul nature, I would encourage you to start when you get up in the morning. Start with having a moment of stillness. Start with just having 5 or 10 minutes of not jumping on your phone, maybe not even turning on the radio. I know that can be hard, but sit with complete stillness for 5 or 10 minutes. Allow yourself to just experience the moment and to focus on gratitude. I'll also recommend gratitude for the day. And I know that that can be a tough one, and we'll talk about more of that in the future. But start with silence. If you can, enter into a light meditative state with your eyes closed and just allowing yourself to sit and ask your soul, what do I need to do today? Ask your soul, what do I need? When you start to have conversations with your soul, with your innermost being, you will hear. But here's the key: listen without expectation. Whatever arises, whether it be a word or a feeling, or maybe it's a picture, just allow it. Don't interpret it. And in doing so, you're going to help tune into the intuitive self, your intuitive nature, which is your soul. And you'll be doing this before the day's distractions take over. So you're setting the tone and the tune for your day. And, with this age of media, pen and paper is such a rarity, but start journaling. Do some soul journaling. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to be having a class on soul journaling. But really just allow yourself to put pen to paper and write a question at the top of the page. And what is my soul trying to tell me? Then, without any expectations, without overthinking or analyzing, just let the words flow. Right until you feel a sense of release, and you will, or a sense of clarity. And you might be surprised by what your inner self is wanting to say. And if you're relatively new on this journey, I'm going to tell you that a lot of what will come forward will be things to give healing, forgiveness and healing, because that's what we need the most, especially if we're out of alignment. And with our soul, we've, had a bumpy ride perhaps along this way. And now we're learning to peel back the layers of BS and getting to know our own true self. And so don't overthink it. Okay. And I'm always going to encourage walking, getting out in nature where you can. Hopefully, where you are, you have a green space. Get out into nature as much as you can. But even if you don't have a green space around you, get out on your balcony, sit in the fresh air. And if it's not warm enough, then look where you may see the sunlight through a window and just take a moment to walk, look at what nature you can see, whether it be birds out your window or some squirrels, and pay attention to what catches your eyes. Pay attention to the breeze, the way it rustles through the trees. Pay attention to the way the sun feels on you. Pay attention to all of these little things that we constantly overlook because we're just too busy. And the thing is, too, is that when you're taking these moments, do it without having any expectations or any agenda. Just phone off, no music, just you being still and observing the world around you. Don't let that little mind chatter in. If you notice it coming in, just bringing your mind back to your breath and being aware. And doing this practice, connecting with nature, it is a mirror of your soul. When you see things in nature and in the world around you, it will help you connect with your soul, with your true authentic self. So do incorporate this into your regular practice. I'm always very big on affirmations also. I feel that they're very helpful. I am statements or statements that are positive. Uh, you can say this in a mirror. You can. I believe that that's very effective, but we can often feel very silly saying it into a mirror. So just practice affirming. I'm open to receiving the guidance from my soul. I trust my inner voice and its guidance. I embrace the truth of who I am and release all that needs to be released. And as we're walking our spiritual journey and connecting with our soul and our authentic self, know that this is a lifelong journey, and do so without setting any kind of timelines or expectations. But the truth is that the more that you align with your soul, the more your life will flow. And the more that you will experience peace and joy, because that truly is our true nature. And so take these moments for yourself. Take these moments and just sit and allow yourself to sense yourself, to sense your soul, and know that you are connected to something much greater and that you yourself are much greater than appear. And I'd like to thank you very much for watching me. And please, if you have any comments, do leave them down below. Do like and subscribe. And look for me in my other platforms where we can engage. I very much want to hear about how you are doing on your spiritual journey and how this resonated with you. Thanks very much for watching. I wish you all the very many blessings. May Spirit walk with you. Bye for now.